So, hi, Rabbi. Once again, you are outdoors. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful day.
Yes, I am. We're going to take a hike, a walk later on.
That sounds like something to do. And something to do is the question I have for you today. We are now in beginning the third week of the conflict in the Middle East, the latest conflict, not the ongoing conflict. And you've talked about uh, uh, the reasons behind it and and finding ways to stay calm and find hope in this terrible situation. But a lot of people feel frustrated because they can't do anything. They sit and watch this endless repetition of violence and both sides yelling that it's the other side's fault. Protests are breaking out all over the world. People are getting hurt. People are getting fired because they think this person is right or that person is wrong.
No.
One group did it, one group shouldn't have done that. And there's fault on both sides, as you've already pointed out. But are we committing the sin of inactivity? Is there something that we should be doing to see if we can change this?
I realized when we were out the other night with a group of friends, and of course, the Middle East came up, Ukraine came up, the House of Representatives came up, and everyone had great solutions and great ideas. And in the process, we kept spiraling in frustration and anger and annoyance. And by the time I got home, I was wound up. I couldn't unwind. I couldn't think. I stopped for a moment and I realized our frustration comes from the fact that we're not diplomats, we're not politicians, that we can't institute the changes we were discussing, no matter how good those changes were. And this process of constantly discussing and coming up with answers only made us feel worse and more helpless. I kept thinking, what can we do in our circle? What do we need to do at work? How can we acknowledge the rights of other people without going off onto, oh, this group is right, that group's wrong, that person should be fired? No, it all starts with me and with my circle. So I have to sit down with myself and say, we all came from Adam and Eve. We're all brothers and sisters. I'm not going to solve anything because I just live here in DC. What can I do? But I can. I have money. I certainly could donate to the International Red Cross, the Red Crescent, or the Mogen David Adom, the Star of David Red, all parts of that same group that are humanitarian, that help individuals, that aren't supporting any side in the war. So that's one thing. We can do money. The next is in our conversations. When we start to go off on these tangents of solving, let's look at each other and say, wait a minute. How can I, where I work, with my friends, promote respect for each other? When someone makes derogatory remarks about the Sikh, or about a Roman Catholic, or about a Jew, or a Palestinian, then I'm there. I can stop and say, wait a minute. No. Why are you attacking that person's nationality, religion, or belief? What good will that do? What good is it doing? That's something we all can do, is to stop. It's okay to have a protest or a march, but to have it based on hating the other people, on inciting riots, on inciting people to kill, maim, stab, or mutilate, that's not going to solve anything. Not just not solve, it makes it worse, Joe. So we can start with change where it begins with me. And when I hear these remarks, not on the news, but from colleagues, from friends, to wait a minute, that's not respectful. That's not helping. One question you can ask someone is, How does your directed hate solve the problem there? Show me. Demonstrate to me how screaming about how bad Hamas is, how bad Hezbollah is, how bad Israel is, how bad the settlers are. Explain to me in our setting how that helps solve anything. And what we see is it's making it worse. So there's what we can do, Joe. We can do it. Look, you can protest, say things, but the hate, wanting to murder people, saying you should go after these people, no. We can stop that with our group.
Well, I agree with you in principle. I'm just not sure that it's going to be enough to deal with this. And dealing with it is, again, just an indication of how foolish it is to even think that we can control it all. So I'm going to watch your first video on this subject, your second video on this subject, and then after I finish editing this, I'm going to watch this video on this subject a couple of times and try and build some kind of coalescence in my mind as to how to approach my view on this entire situation. Thank you as always for all your good advice, and I look forward to talking with you again. Hopefully not about this, because it'll all be solved by next week.
Don't make no mistake. I'm not talking about solving anything out there. What I'm talking about is our own serenity and peace. What I am suggesting is we're making things worse here in our home by lobbying, by spewing hate, by telling we should destroy.